Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Uh, want to share a little realization I had. Or more so, just a situation that I went through that basically, basically gave me a realization, but I spoke to, and I speak to in a lot of my videos how, because sometimes I be so much of a night owl with being up like late at night a lot of times, and that's when I do a lot of my, reading and studying, and also with that vibe of sometimes, again, eating before I go to sleep, which, again, I always catch a vibe like something, of course my lower self will try to stop me from lucid dreaming, but I also realize that, nothing is coincidence. And I spoke to that like maybe like higher self, uh, and I say maybe, I feel that higher self sometimes, protects me from, stepping into certain realms until I become more quote unquote adept, maybe, to use that terminology, but long story short, I'm not always, always in the dream realm, so a lot of realizations sometimes too will come to me like in the daytime while I'm awake. And I think about recently, a little sign I got, were walking to Walmart, matter of fact, back in my hometown of Opelousas, and they had two rabbits, like, and that's my, like, I never known us to even have rabbits on a level of, I mean, I know they exist out there, where I'm from, but in the city limits, they're not like out there like that. But long story short, they had two dead ones on side the road, you know, and instantly I caught like a little vibe of like it was sending me some type of message, and then I went, look up rabbits, and rabbits deal with fertility, that's another thing too. So the symbolism of it, like I write two dead rabbits, so it's like automatically let me go look at a dream symbols book, or just symbols in general, and see like what the rabbit stands for. Because matter of fact, with the rabbit connected to fertility, that's also where you get Easter bunny, the Easter rabbit, because Ishtar or Easter, what I'm saying, and Ishtar is connected to that, that Lilith energy, Ishtar or Anana or Urzuli or Freya or Frigg, that's all in connection. But the rabbit deals with fertility. It also deals with sexuality. Matter of fact, it's another energy that that Ishtar energy. And it also, a rabbit symbolizes abundance, generosity, shyness, and innocence. And a rabbit disappearing in a hole, like if you had a dream about that, that means you are trying to escape from some problems. And then, but like my little downloads from from dealing with the rabbits was, I realized it was a personification of debt to the old ways of our sexual nature. You know, so getting more into a evolved place of sexual nature where, it's integration, like where we realize nothing is wrong with it. Like we take the taboo away from sex, like sex. Like he said sex, like we taking that taboo off of it, and making it something to not be scared of, something that we should be more open about. But and then on the flip side, on the other end, even though being open about that doesn't mean to be overly indulged in it on a level that doesn't have a spiritual connection. You know what I'm saying? So as much as we should be open to it and deal with it, that doesn't mean we should, deal with it on such a, low vibrational level where it's just all about, uh, basically, just like bumping together and then that's it. Like you go your way, I go my way, and we just bump together and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like is more of a a connection, because there's nothing wrong with, again, sex is healing, sex is pleasurable, and uh, when you're dealing with somebody that you feel you can connect with, because all of us different. Some of us, more, I gotta have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or marry somebody to deal with sex. Some of us not really on that vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all uniquely different, but it's still having that balance of, again, being open about it, but also not taking it to a place of, again, uh, where the energies are just so, animalistic and on a lower level, you know. Because, again, though, we are in a human body, and this human body suit comes with some animalistic natures to it, Say, for instance, like, as much as you want to be like, because that's almost denying what is. You're not accepting denial. Like, say, for instance, oh, I'm a higher being and this and that. But you gotta sit on the toilet and take a shit whenever you, whenever you feel you could be as God is God is God. Like, I'm God, God, God. I'm the universe. But the universe is gonna get on that toilet and have to take a shit, because the universe is in a human body. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, you still in that human body. So of course we still gonna have some of that primal nature dealing to sex. When we in that mode, like, still want to sniff on each other and lick little body part, that's still gonna be, what I'm saying, again, but it's gonna be from a more sensual perspective. So, I caught with that vibe that it was like a debt to the old sexual nature. Uh, again, being making it more of a sensual thing and more of a connection with the soul. Uh, Also, I kind of caught it as a vibe is to say that to the fake tradition of Easter, because with all this truth coming out, you know, Aquarius age of information, all this information leaking out, you know, matter of fact, speaking of that information leaking out, and speaking on Easter, I got to stop on that notion. Shout out to my brother Brad, for bringing this up about how, like, the government sets out information like an Easter egg, like, kind of like how, you got the flat earth this, or, like, these little side ops, these little things that they put out there, But, and I spoke to this in my video. If you go check out my video about Eyes Wide Shut, in movies in Hollywood, but like how they expose themselves, but they expose themselves purposely because it's initiating you into what they're doing, and now you are consciously aware of it, and your focus may actually amplify what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even though they expose, and it's like, you know, and some of the stuff they expose is the type of stuff where nobody gonna believe them, or so, like, and you being initiated to it. But again, like, they leave out these little Easter eggs, and my brother made an example of, like, one of the Star Wars. I don't know if it's the third episode or what, and from the older ones, where he was like, the Sith Lord had basically was pushing out information about themselves, like leaking out information. Oh, the dark force is going to be over here, or they're going to be over there, through the news system, and just setting everything up, setting the the Jedi's of the because I forget the dark force, the light force, but the light side, you know what I'm saying, like the light. Damn, I could forget that in that moment. But anyway, like, those Jedi's of the light, coming to get one of the Darth Vader, or one of, not, it wasn't Darth Vader, but one of the dark beings. But long story short, the example I'm just trying to make is that, again, like how the government puts out these little Easter eggs of information, and just like an Easter egg hunt, where as a little kid, like, oh, I got this Easter egg, oh man, look at this Easter egg, not knowing, now some of us probably knew on that level, but just for the sake of the comparison, like, you got that Easter egg, and like, you didn't know that was your parents that put that out there. You thought the Easter bunny done passed through the backyard. When the parents was like, y'all chill right here for a second, whatever. You really thought the Easter bunny done jumped through the backyard or wherever, and done laid them Easter eggs out. And here it is. Now you like, oh, like, so it is the Easter bunny, all this and that. You know what I'm saying? You going with that Easter egg, and taking it, not knowing thinking it comes from one source, but it really comes from another source, and the government does that with purpose placement. So again, like say for instance, like which again I'm not flat earth all around. We on a plane of existence, but you know, like to get somebody on a thought that's so far out there to have them, make themselves look crazy as well, because some people fall into a side situation and, begin to talking about it with, and again, in a manner that just makes themselves seem like they're too much of a conspiracy theorist, and therefore a lot of government just be like, you see, look at them people on some flattery, like these motherfuckers crazy, their conspiracies are way out there. You know what I'm saying? Like they try to, reverse game like that. But again, like little Easter eggs put out there. You know what I'm saying? Like all these little, I don't know if his name was Oliver Stone or Oliver North, did the like all the army movies, and he did the movie W with W. Bush, George W. Bush. But like anybody that's in their mainstream, they working in cahoots with the beast, with the machine. So you know, Indian like a lot of exposure, a lot of information. We want to be aware of. Again, the sources are. How popular. Because if the person is mainstream, that means the government or whoever is in charge want this stuff to be leaked out for some type of little chess game move. So having awareness of that. But again, so it's funny. That to the fake tradition of Easter. You know, really realizing. Matter of fact, you think about Easter. You think about Good Friday. Good Friday is right before Easter, Good Friday. And Friday also deals with the God. Matter of fact, I might just go into this information. But the God Frigg or Freya, that deals with that Friday energy. So when we talk about Good Friday around Easter, and Easter is Ishtar, and Ishtar is Anana, so again, back to that same energy. So we're gonna make this little shift. I'm gonna shift out of that little story, and just correlate. Cause matter of fact, we already talking about no rabbits, and then again, rabbits extend to the fertility and sexuality, and Ishtar or Easter, deals with again, Easter eggs come from the eggs of the woman, fertility. The woman have fertile eggs, and then rabbits, that when people say, you want to fuck like a rabbit, so to speak, like, like something, how rabbits get down with it, that whole connection. But I'm gonna speak a little bit on Freya. Now, Freya basically was you got two characters in Norse mythology. You got Freya and Frigg, who seem to be the same, character. It's kind of like a little debate vibe with it. A lot of people don't really, it's like one of the things where people don't really know for sure. But, and Frigg is where you get the name Friday from, because again, I did a video again with our dates being more from not say fake place, but say for instance, we indigenously existed before the word Friday existed, before the word January existed, before a calendar existed. Because the Gregorian calendar not even keeping up with the true times. That's why again, September, Sep stands for 7, October stands for 8, but yet they're not the 7 and the 8 months, because again, somebody implemented their own little stuff in them. So you got Freya. Freya was the queen of the Valkyrie. Basically, the Valkyrie was Old Norse meaning for chooser of the slain. As a matter of fact, Freya and Odin had a little deal where when the battles would take place, half of the souls would go to Odin and go to Valhalla or Valhalla, I think Valhalla, and then the other ones would go with with Freya. And again, just about to get a little bit into that, and then get into the little connections again with the other energies. But Also in the movie Ragnarok, and then the end the Ragnarok story, kind of like the apocalypse in the Norse mythology in essence. And there's a series of future events, including a great battle foretold to ultimately result in the death of a number of major figures, including Odin, Thor, Tyr, Freyr, which is Freya, brother, her, Himdall, and Loki. And matter of fact, this natural disaster, because it was basically a natural disaster, a submersion of the world underwater. But again, when you watch Ragnarok, the movie is about Thor's sister, coming back. Again, y'all, the constant darkness in woman, little, you know, chaos being chaos, darkness, a woman. Like it's all always correlated, you know what I'm saying? But again, Thor's sister came back, and was taking over what they call Asgard, because they found out that Odin really had killed people to take over Asgard. He lied and said that they, just we got it and this and that. But Odin had done, Odin characters know for like kind of flip flop. Like he'll go on journeys. Like he's known for like just traveling to other places. Matter of fact, drinking mead. Mead is like different wines, but and disguising itself, going to different places. That's why, and he's also connected to the Mercury energy, matter of fact, through the connection to Wednesday, Wednesday, Odin, and then Thursday, Thor, which is really Shango. But anyway, in the show American Gods as well, he was in American Gods, he kind of had like that, just wonder. Not say wanderer, but like he was just sliding under the radar type of vibe, and that goes back to the Norse mythology as well. But again, the Ragnarok situation, is a natural disaster against submersion of the world underwater, and water is connected to the feminine energy, the deep depths of the subconscious mind, where those great old ones come from, Set, Soot, Typhon, and the whole Typhonian energy, that's all connected. Let's see what else. And Freya, goddess associated with love, sex, beauty, fertility, gold, Seor, I don't know how to say that, but it's a type of sorcery, war, and death. And she's also the owner of the necklace Brisingamen, or Brisingamen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's Brisingamen. And so right there, that's when you start to see the correlations. Again, matter of fact, I think about Oshun. Oshun, deals with the beauty, to a certain extent, that sex, that fertility, to a certain extent, that gold color. And also like in jewelry, because one thing Freya was known to be about, she loved her jewelry. Even down to the story of her getting that necklace. She came across 4 dwarves, that had that necklace, and she was like, "Man, I'd do anything for that necklace." And it was like, "Shit, you gotta have sex with her." The way the story was like, you gotta lay with us to get that necklace. So that also, you see that promiscuous vibe, of like, because that's also, again, in most cases they get that from the predecessor story of like, Oshun, Oshun and Urzuli, which I think Urzuli come later in the voodoo pantheon. But Oshun, with her story, she was known for putting honey on her lips. That's how she pulled in Ogun. She pulled in Ogun because she would, when she put that honey on her lips, and that's one of her offerings, honey and cinnamon. And you gotta taste it before you offer it to her, because she's been poisoned before. Talking about Oshun. But she put that honey on her lips, and then she become, her kiss is irresistible. Like you automatically kind of just fall in love with her head over heels. And in comparison to Oshun's kiss with the honey, this necklace that Freya got, has the type of energy that makes others like fall head over heels for the person that's wearing it. So you see those connections again. And I when I say Norse mythology, a lot of it from the Poetic Edda, modern name for the collection of old Norse poems, but this is around like the 13th century, you know, 12th, 11th, you know, to go back at the furthest possibly, Uh, so again, that Oshun, that seductive energy, that kiss, matter of fact, that's also a connection to to a certain extent, Queen of Sheba. Again, when Sheba went to go visit Solomon, Solomon thought she was some type of demon, part demon or something. So he poured some water on the ground on some slick shit, so she could pick up like her dress, so her dress wouldn't get wet, but so he could see her feet and see if she was a demon or not. So you see that connection again. Lilith, connection with the serpent, but this, like primordial again, either chaos or being like tied to like a demon, because one man's god is another man's devil. So once these other little civilizations start coming into play, they taking that old knowledge and like, oh no, we ain't, especially when their aim was, they knew that this was indigenous knowledge. They knew that the primordial darkness and this and that, from darkness let there be light. They knew it was about the melanated peoples on the planet. So it's like, all right, nah, we got to keep this shit from them. And it's also a part of a certain collective karma as well. It's not to be like, oh man, they took all or not, like, it was meant for us to go through what we went through and what we're going through. I should say what we went through, but yeah, you see these different connections with, again, this woman just seen as this like demon, matter of fact, and they did that to on that, again, matter of fact, speaking of American gods, Queen of Sheba to a certain extent was personified through this black woman who was like a prostitute, again, like that Lilith energy. Lilith lay with the men and make them dirty, you know what I'm saying? But it was also like, speaking of, connect them with that primordial darkness, or that, that carbon, that melanin, or that, lack of better words, just that darkness of the wound, you know what I'm saying? Because again, they started treating, dark and black as something like dirty, or, there's something bad, So that's why she was dirtying them up. But again, with the Sheba, Queen of Sheba story and her connection in that show American Gods, where she was a prostitute, again, sexual, like being kind of loose, Freya, Oshun, you know what I'm saying, and but on the thing, but she would actually suck the guys up her vagina, like, you know what I'm saying, and actually consume them through her vagina, in essence, coming through that south gate, you know what I'm saying, set, open up his mom's womb, the primordial mother at the south gate, or the vagina, and all that energy, was born from out of that south gate, And again, though, on the reverse, and that's also, again, social engineering or subconscious programming, trying to make you scared of this energy. Depicting like the black woman sucking things up through a vagina. That's oh, that's scary. You know what I'm saying? Trying to create that mental image and subconscious programming. So just, again, in all ways, forms of fashion, just make people scared of anything dark, no matter what it is, whether it's a human, inanimate object, or whatever. It's just like, you just gotta make all this seem quote unquote bad in a universe where we realized and always knew that there wasn't no such thing as good and bad. So to say that these people implementing this good and bad moralistic system, that, again, our consciousness is of such a level where we don't, the human moralistic, we are past that. Like, we naturally know to not savagely kill it. Like, say for instance, our neighborhoods and stuff like that then start getting bad to like when crack hit, and where crack come from, what I'm saying, who promoted that. But naturally, we not know people to be ganging against ourselves, and might have had certain quarrels in probably certain little tribes or little areas, but even then, it was never nothing on the account of something like extremely brutal, like this mass, like a World War II or one or Vietnam of like the indigenous people's situation, you know. Because another thing too, because if it was, you know, the oppressors and the European people would definitely love to, you know, put that on blast. Like, look how they was fucking fighting and this and that. You know what I'm saying? They would want that evidence. So to say that it's not there, you know, because again, that they going to all these different places taking artifacts. So I'm pretty sure they would have came across something, you know, that would have spoke to that if it existed on that level. You know. But back to the little story. Freya, and again, just still kind of speaking on Freya, because you know, hearing certain aspects of her story, like with all these guys, you'll hear one guy mythology, and you already know some other guys mythology. Just say, you know, or you done read the Bible or the Quran, or you know, certain other little spiritual, you know, or the Mahabharata or the Bhagavad Gita, you know, and you see all these characters, and it's like, oh, this person had you know, like certain things that line up. Again, like they dealt with gold. She liked jewelry. There was sex and fertility. Oh, well, that's the same as this guy and that guy, same as that. You know what I'm saying? You see the correlations. And you see that, again, from the mystery schools of Kemet, you know, later called Egypt, you know, all this information was, you know, allowed to be translated into transcripts and, you know, brought out to these different places, you know. The mystery schools allow for people, you know, to come and learn. Constantine could get into mystery schools, and it was like, well, I got y'all motherfucking ass. I'm a fucking I'ma bust that ass with this Nicaea Council and this Bible. I'll see how your mystery schools last when I bust that ass like that. Again, no pressure to make a diamond is all divine order. But her family, Freya family members are gods associated with fertility, wisdom, and ability to see the future, named the Vanir, Vanir. She also had a feathered falcon cloak connected to, matter of fact, you know, me speaking on this, she had a feathered falcon cloak connected to Ishtar having wings, you know. Again, Ishtar was the goddess of fertility, you know, which again, Ishtar, her first name was Anana, you know, then it ended up being Ishtar, and I think I got that in my notes as well. But because of the days of the week, oh, excuse me, y'all, they kind of read things. Yeah, the days of the week, you know, again, it's kind of like a somewhat Greco-Roman, you know, creation, as far as like call this day, this, you know. The day Friday is connected to Frigg, you know, because Frigg is that other aspect when you look in Norse mythology, and they'll talk about Freya and Frigg, you know, again, like they two different characters, both kind of married to Odin, you know, but, you know, again, it's like this little vibe of maybe it's just like, you know, that one energy kind of separated into two characters, but Frigg, Frigg, you know, again, is where we get Friday instead of, you know, being connected to Oshun or something that predates, you know, that, because again, you know, the calendar was made by these people. Matter of fact, and Friday, the day of Frigg, Frigge. Matter of fact, and again, I spoke to earlier, Good Friday around Easter, you know, so it's all the whole connection. And also around the resurrection of the sun. You know, Easter is like when the sun is resurrected, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you got the correlation of the Christ energy is the sun, you know, Lucifer is the sun, and Venus, you know, all three morning stars, you know. The morning stars and the correlation, you know, again, that Venus, that feminine energy, that love, you know, beauty, you know, that enjoyment of life, you know, that energy. Again, and that's that Venus energy on that level is like, you know, connected to that So it's like the primordial mother, like if you could say like you got Venus in the middle, like the heart chakra, and then you got like the Lucifer or devil, lower nature up here, then the Christ nature up here, and in the middle is that heart or that Venus or that primordial mother energy, you know, where they meet, you know, in essence, like not being like it's like a connection, I should say, because of course we want to connect with our higher self, you know, but again, it's an integration. While we're in this human experience right now, it's an integration of, you know, the Christ energy and the Lucifer light energy, because we are here in the physical realm, and seeing how the Venus energy, you know, of like you know, love, and like say for instance, you could have a love for things on a lower level that may, you know, bring you even more into this physical matrix and, you know, lock you more into the physical nature. Or you could have, you know, a love about something in a, you know, higher nature, you know, which will bring you closer to your higher nature. But again, too high or too low, you know, gonna have you, you know, quote unquote out of balance, you know. So you see that little connection right there as well. Matter of fact, let's see. In the 19th century, Admiral William Henry Smith described Friday in his nautical lexicon, the Sailor's Word Book. He said, the dies and fosters on which all seamen were desirous of not getting underway as ill omen. So basically, dies and fosters means unlucky day. You know, so matter of fact, another connection though, Friday, because Freya also connected to, you know, elm trees. You know, matter of fact, shout out to a sister that gave me confirmation on this. It was, man, if I had a name, I definitely would throw it out there. It was a video, but I didn't get a name or anything. But shout out to that little realization to add to the work I was doing in this area. And of course, that's, you know, source, but gotta always, you know, shout out to the reflection that source moved through to bring that to bring me that confirmation. But you know, Friday the 13th, you know, again, H.P. Lovecraft trying to scare you away from that primordial darkness and connecting with your higher self, because in essence, our higher self is the great old ones, you know, our ancient primordial selves, you know, what I was gonna say, I forgot. Oh, the Friday the 13th, you know, again, the horror movies could make you scared of Friday, you know, like, oh, scared of Friday. And not only with Friday, because we also spoke about, again, check out my other videos, Friday the 13th, making you scared of 13, you know. When we talk about Christ, you know, that number 13, you know, that's why I got 13 colonies, this and that, you know, because the 13 breaks down into the number 4, and 4 is like foundation, you know, and the foundation, you know, you could almost say the foundation of our evolution, you know, because 13 is like stepping outside of the 12 disciples or those 12 disciplines and stepping into that number 13, you know, and that number 13 is also associated with Ophiuchus, you know, and Ophiuchus is also considered the center of the galaxy, and also the snake bearer, you know, like the Kundalini energy. And another thing too, where it's not really closely in our direct solar system, like Ophiuchus is like from outer solar system. Matter of fact, dealing with the Hercules constellations and stuff as well. But I'll get back to that. But you see again, Friday the 13th, making you scared Friday 13th, and also Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, again, that elm connected to the goddess Freya in Norse mythology. So, you know, again, they're trying to scare you from, you know, that energy, you know, that Freya. Then with the elm connected to Freya, you know, and again connected to Friday as well indirectly. And then also the movie Friday the 13th, that speaks exactly to making you scared of Friday and 13. You know, they don't put no floors in the building with. So basically, you start to see too. Again, this is just a war against the primordial mother. You know, it's like we're gonna keep this from out of our, you know, information. Like, not even gonna make a 13 floor, you know what I'm saying? Like, just everything about, you know, but at the same time using it in other areas for themselves, because again, you the 13 colonies and 13 stars or stripes on the flags and stuff like that, But again, and damn, oh shit. And then we speaking of 13, then we got this article 13 that talks about the copyright laws and stuff like that. So just showing, there's no coincidence that we dealing with these different energies. Matter of fact, also, which is pretty cool, I forgot about Freya also has a chariot driven by 2 cats, and I thought about the Lyran beings, as well with the cats. There's always that connection with the cat-like beings. And matter of fact, also, I forgot about that. Odin and Freya's little role in like taking care of the dead, like quote unquote dead, or like those who transition from out of the physical, and how again Odin takes half and Freya takes half. It almost has a higher self told me that's also a connection, like with Mama Brigitte and Baron Samedi, like those 2 energies, being dealing with the graveyard energy and the crossroads of the afterlife, and how Mama Brigitte and Baron Samedi is like quote unquote married to a certain extent, just like Freya and Odin. But matter of fact, with a lot of these, because again, this is stories of energies, and energies don't get mad. Like, have you ever seen 2 energies in dressed up in clothes? Well, yeah, you have, when humans get, but like just raw energy, real just energy, again, it's the stories of how they interact with each other and not necessarily real humans. So that's why, a certain guy may have dealt with this being, and that being, and and whether male or female, well, they never really had one person that they really consorted with, in essence. It was more than one. But and then Frigg in general is associated with foreknowledge and wisdom. And in Nahuatl, so Nahuatl, it's basically like Aztec language. In Nahuatl, Friday is Quetzalcoatl, meaning the day of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl is also a Christ figure. So again, you're seeing this Christ energy, being connected to this Friday, and again to indirectly, Friday and the 13th. You know what I'm saying? Again, this Ophiuchus energy, this Kundalini energy, and Christ being born out of the manger from that root chakra, rising up, and that Lucifer, the morning star, you know what I'm saying? Also, again, both representation, like they both equally represent, at certain parts of the story. Lucifer represents the pineal and the root chakra, and Christ represents the pineal and the root chakras. Again, Christ is born in the manger, in the root chakra, not in the heavens. You remember that. Born in that manger and had to raise up. I think about the Kundalini called up 3.5 times, or you say 3 times. As a matter of fact, you had the 3 wise men that show up to and go look up the 16 crucified saviors. Certain, I always forget the author. I don't know why I don't go look up the day to remember, but I get like that, like, cause the information is there. Like, you would have to just be in denial to not find, because when you go type in 16 crucified saviors, especially on Amazon, like that book gonna pop up, but again, where you get to see like all these different, matter of fact, like Quetzalcoatl, one of them, these babies born of a virgin, and there was some stars that foretold that this baby was gonna be born of this virgin, and this and that. Like, it's all the same stories, you know. And then also another connection, the Roman goddess Venus, connected to love, beauty, desire, sex, fertility, prosperity, and victory. So again, you're seeing that same interconnection. And then another one in Greek, Aphrodite. Aphrodite is the Greek goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and protection. And then you also had this connection, Aphrodite. Matter of fact, so how I talk about Odin and Freya, Freya Friday, Odin Wednesday, you know, Aphrodite, in essence would go with that Friday as well. And she dealt with Hermes, which is the Mercury energy, and Mercury deals with Wednesday. So Hermes, Mercury, Odin, Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? All connected. And also though, again, like how Set, Set comes from that primordial mother, but then when the new dynasties come in, they turn Set into this being that's homosexual. You know what I'm saying? Like Set raped Horus, and that androgynous, again, because it's a personification of androgynous energy, and again, it's somebody kind of putting their own little interpretation on it. One man's God is another man's devil, and instead of just with the realization of like, Set comes from the primordial mother, but he's also a masculine energy. So it's basically like having that primordial, because he's the first to come from that primordial mother, so it's going to have that embodiment of that mother energy, but also masculinity, because it is, masculine within itself, within its being, so it's like, part masculine and feminine, but that's not saying that he's an actual, because that terminology didn't even exist in essence, but homosexual, it's like again, androgynous, just a balance of that masculine, feminine energy within, almost like that marriage of, of the masculine and feminine energy within oneself. But again, you see Aphrodite and Hermes come together to have Hermaphrodite. You know what I'm saying? They're androgynous sons. So again, you're seeing all these connections. Oh, and back to the part Inanna, Inanna. And as I'm saying, all this stuff, go, do your research, go check it out, Because again, a lot of this stuff is, coming from different lectures, barely, with stuff like this barely comes from books for me. It's mostly lectures and then inner gnosis, because even though this information comes from books, and I know it's in books, I don't necessarily get it all from books. But again, Inanna, ancient Mesopotamia goddess of love, beauty, sex, desire, fertility, war, justice, and political power. She was originally worshipped in Sumer, and again, that's where you get your Sumerian tablets, and again, Samaria and some of that, those places, again, how some people like the Anunnaki and Sumerian tablets, like that's not the most eldest and ancient knowledge, Again, even that's almost like stopping at the Bible and not knocking it, not to say not, again, we should be open to receiving information from any and all places, because as God on a human experience, and God, or you could say energy that's reincarnated, we was once here, allowing this information to spread like it spread, allowing it to get to all these different hands. So for us to come back now and be like, oh, I ain't gonna get information, this and that, like, bro, it's all a part of us, better get that information. Stop being in your ego. Whether you a white person that feel like I don't want to get this information from no black person, or whether you a black person feel like I don't want to get this information from no white person, or and that's funny how we always, which that's kind of like just the dual nature of the universe, because you notice like it's always like black, white, and never like, and again, terminologies, 3D terminologies that we use, but again, like, all the in between people, all in between, as well. But again, just that dynamic of, information is information. That's why, again, you start to see that the ego always caps your spiritual growth, because the ego is trying to stay stuck in one identity. The ego is trying to identify with something, like we got to stay set on this information and stay set in this comfortable space of just dealing with this, you know. So, that aspect, and then two, just the ego in general. Again, like, well, if you're so in your ego, well, you still may feel some kind of way about somebody, like getting information from somebody that don't, look like you are, or even so, like, say for instance, like Albert Pike, known racist, known Freemason, 33rd degree. But that don't mean I'm not gonna read none of his motherfucking books. Like, I'm gonna read it, like, matter of fact, that's more of a reason for me to read them books, you know what I'm saying? Is because of that standpoint, in essence. You think about the art of war too, what we dealing with and what we up against. You want to know what you up against, in essence, anyway. And at the same time, when we say what you're up against, that's why too, the first and foremost thing to also know what you're up against is to learn about self, because first and foremost, you're up against yourself, or should I say, trying to not be up against yourself, but that's the bad, it's like getting your insides, like, being at peace with, having the energies within yourself at peace, first and foremost. But again, then on a physical level, like, externally they have certain things physically manifested in your external, environment. So it's like having awareness of that as well, you know what I'm saying? But, the internal, first and foremost, projects externally. So again, back to Inanna, she was originally worshipped in Sumer and was later worshipped by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians under the name Ishtar. As a matter of fact, Ishtar is said to be the emblem of Starbucks as well. So you see, how they subconscious programming and using, ancient indigenous, symbols and knowledge to pull you in. Matter of fact, I think about the rock shop, out here in Louisiana, which I tend to leave the names out of a lot of stuff, because that's the place I used to work in, and I kind of had that vibe of like leave old energy behind. But it is what it is. Had my little great times up in there, but also too, I knew what I was dealing with. I knew that anybody that has that Eye of Ra is their emblem, and again, happen to give off a vibe where they don't really favor melanated people, and it seemed like, it might deal with some masonry and stuff like that. Then, you kind of, and again, just speaking from my own, I'm not saying anything about, people dealing with the rock shop, but just, just speaking on from what I feel and, what evidence I see, but, again, using them symbols. That's why, as, us on our spiritual awakening, the reverse game is to use them same symbols to benefit us, So having rap albums where it got pure, like, matter of fact, like, shout out to Earth, Wind, and Fire for their name, Earth, Wind, and Fire, for their album covers, which, like, in which I'm gonna get into alchemical pictures and messages, but like, you think about their album covers, man, had like, these deep, the deep messages, and just, just showing like, hey, this is what we is, this is where we come from. So using those same symbols is a positive reinforcement in essence. But a lot of pleasure, sex, and beauty, and when I say beauty, how you look physically, all these things are more in service to being in this physical realm of light, So that, again, that's how you see when that Venus energy kind of goes into, that Lucifer, lower nature vibe, goes into that physical realm of light, So again, like, you could get like with that Venus, Freya, Oshun energy, it could be like more in the, more to the physical nature compared to more to the higher nature. But again, it's about integrating and balancing it, in general. And again, and I say again, but Ophiuchus energy deals with healing and also connected to Emotep, because Emotep was considered to be the well versed in all different types of fields, mathematics, healing, like all these different areas, And again, you think about the Conducius staff, the little snakes, going around that little one thing. And what Ophiuchus constellation is, is the Kundalini, is the snakes. And raising our Kundalini, helps to raise light, in the body and kind of connect it with the activation of our DNA to a certain extent, So again, you see that healing energy connection, because again, they use the Conducive staff as a little emblem from like, ambulance and stuff like that. So you see it used in the medical field. So again, Ophiuchus dealing with healing, And the primordial mother energy, healing the wounds of over masculinity, because that's what's happening right now. That's why this Ophiuchus sign, like, what's this? Why it's like popping up? As a matter of fact, I came across some information. Shout out to the flight boss, Archangel Uriel. I remember him saying something like, well, from like it start from like 1940 or something like that, where we're gonna start like anybody born from 1940 on after, like like after the 1940s are gonna kind of have these like energy signature of Ophiuchus kind of affecting their energies, so to speak. Because again, it's something, and I talked about that in the video, and that was more of like just a download of just like, nobody told me this, but like I was saying, like how I felt Ophiuchus wasn't necessarily a part of like our, solar system or constellation, but more so, and I say constellation, but part of the constellations in our direct solar system. But it was more so of something that comes around ever so often type of vibe. I did kind of feel that energy, because again, it's in another, it's kind of like in another solar system, so to speak. Matter of fact, in the Herculean solar system. Matter of fact, if I like you think about it, let's say if this was the elliptical and this was Sagittarius and Scorpio. Because Ophiuchus is big too. So let's just say like you got the elliptical, and this is this is Scorpio and this is Sagittarius, within our immediate solar system. And then like again, still in the Milky Way galaxy, but not in our direct solar system. And again, you got Scorpio and Sagittarius, and go check out my video about shamanic anchoring, where anchoring to the center of the galaxy, which is in between Sagittarius and Scorpio, which is Ophiuchus. But Ophiuchus is a big, because also constellations are different sizes, like they take up a certain amount of space naturally, like in the sky. Like of course with astrology they kind of assign them all to like exactly 30 degrees, in essence, but it's a little different. But again, you got like Ophiuchus kind of on this outer rim or in this of the solar system, and that's just speaking on just that aspect. I haven't gotten enough of inner gnosis to go further into that aspect, but just to kind of give an idea of what's going on, and again where that constellation is visible, in between, that snake bearer, a man, wrestling the snake in essence, that Kundalini, set wrestling with a pep, but and again, so the primordial energy coming through, healing, healing the wounds of that over masculinity of this plane of existence, Matter of fact, like the Navaratri Fest, connecting with Kali Ma, primordial mother energy, Navaratri mean night of the nine, a 9 night, which is like a 9 night festival. And then 9 times 13, equals 108. 108 is how many beads you have on a mala, with the mala beads on your mala string, it's 108. To do your affirmation, so you see that connection again. But again, just wanted to draw those little, simple. I say simple connection, but I mean to a certain extent, and then this again, yeah, it's more for myself though, because I've been, paralleling information of like, seeing and still growing and still learning, because there's still a lot of mythology that I want to tap more into that I haven't. But again, just to get a more in-depth insight of all these connections again, of this Ophiuchus, primordial mother, the Christ and Lucifer energy, the morning star, Venus. And I did, recently did that video about, Malachite connection with it as well, the copper connection. But, and again, it's all stemmed from a conversation talking about talking about Easter, talking about the rabbits. Matter of fact, on my little rabbit vision, which is again connected to that energy again. Again, that number 13, that Christ energy, ascending out of the control of those 12 disciplines, or those 12 disciples, or those 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel. It's all the same peoples. But and again, the vibe of, again, Hollywood trying to subconsciously program you to be scared of certain energies. Again, because I forgot to bring up Ragnarok in one of my other videos, speaking about again, how everything is about making you scared of the darkness, the feminine energy, snakes, and and with that darkness, like making it like this chaos being, from Doctor Strange to what it was, Soul Eater, the little show on the anime on Netflix, to Seven Deadly Sins. Again, all of them just darkness coming from, like the Keishan darkness is making me mad, like what I'm saying. But everything, again, is like this darkness. The great old ones, H.P. Lovecraft and Chub Niggerat, is coming to get people. Chub Niggerat, which it was which I didn't know that. Like I knew that most most European brethren, of course, wanted to create their own history, stuff like that. So they were scared, always scared of the return of the great old ones, return of the gods, or when the melanated beings on this planet, start to reawakening. You know what I'm saying? But like I thought it. I didn't know the brethren was racist as well, H.P. Lovecraft. I just thought, that was just kind of, but that adds more to it, again, because with a with the straight up name of one of the great old ones being Chub Niggerat. Niggerat. But I digress. Peace. Bam. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Again, researching the little names and things I spoke on to get, more of an in-depth understanding. Again, connecting with that primordial mother energy. That's been like the message, really, and learning how to trust, trust and let go, because part of, dealing with that feminine energy is trusting the unknown, trusting that those deep, dark waters, uh, the depths of the subconscious, again, not being afraid of, the unknown, you know. And that energy right now is kind of, helping us to deal with that of not being, fearful towards stepping towards that unknown, you know. That's where the growth and that's where the experience is at, It's not us doing the same routine thing think about it. When I was just drinking 40s every day and just smoking, like, that was my routine. Like, it was a ceiling on what I was doing. Like, I wouldn't go past, hey, it's time to wake up, go get a 40, go to sleep. Wake up, go get a 40, go to sleep. Wait, you know what I'm saying? It's like, gotta break out of the routines, expand that comfort zone to really, see some change and growth. Directly I was about to say as a bus, but literally with our bodies, like the body has to, expand and grow, and sometimes, little bone, like when we first start growing, little bones might have hurt a little bit or something, because we could feel our body stretching out, a little uncomfortable, you know, making the parents, not making the parents uncomfortable, I say, but having to buy, new clothes constantly because we constantly growing, I'm not wearing the same clothes that I was wearing, when I was 3 or 4 years old, because I'm no longer, that size, or, I'm dealing with that energy, so to speak. But, again, that's basically it. Again, happy now. Matter of fact, don't forget, if like the content, hit the like button, and also if you want to donate to the cause. Got the Epic Lifestyles PayPal link underneath mostly all of my videos. If you're on a desktop, it'll be in the little top right corner. You'll see a little PayPal button as well, but right by the little Instagram and Twitter little buttons. But yeah, any and all donations is greatly appreciated. And in fact, much love and blessings to the domestic family. Much love and blessings to the international family out there, man. Thank y'all. I love y'all. Appreciate the love and support as always. Peace, I'm out.